Welcome to this week's episode. I'm so excited and absolutely thrilled as I have a big surprise guest called Lonna Davis. She's been on before, not once, but twice. And now she's back. And I'm over the moon, absolutely over the moon to have her here. I'll give you a little sneaky peek about what Lonna is going to talk about. As you already know, Lonna is a distinguished vibrational sound healer and intuitive. She specializes in dragon and the angelic realm, emerald frequency healing. She masterfully employs a blend of vocal techniques. Her voice literally moves mountains. She masterfully employs a blend of vocal techniques and instrument resonance to facilitate full body and spiritual energetic alignment, guiding individuals from dissonance to resonance. Her areas of expertise include spinal tuning fork therapy, quantum hypnosis, and psycho-spiritual counseling. Lonna is a dedicated protector and warrior of light. She ventures into the shadow realms that many evade. She's so brave and courageous, channeling her profound wisdom through the transformative energies of fire and the elements. Her unconventional approach deeply explores the darker and more difficult aspects of ourselves, empowering individuals to awaken their authentic power and realign with their cosmic divine frequency. Lonna is so passionate about healing. She's absolutely committed to sharing her unique gifts and assisting others in igniting the powerful fire of transformation within. Her work is instrumental in fostering a healthy, fulfilling, and balanced existence. And I'm sure by the end of this episode, you will have felt a shift somewhere, because no matter where she goes or no matter what she does, her wonderful energy is just infectious and healing. So I'm so excited for you to listen.
It's lovely to be here. I can't wait to get into it.
So tell me, how have you been integrating this lovely new energy change?
Well, I think it's an ongoing process of integration, to be honest. I feel like each day is a new day. In all honesty, I think right now what I'm trying to really focus on is self-care and slowing down and just being present with myself each day, because there's such a tumultuous energetic right now. So many external things happening that are quite terrible, if we're honest. And it's so easy to take that energy into our body and also the energy of other people. So I think that really just taking that time, really sitting with myself each day and slowing down. And that's also been the energetic that's been coming in with a lot of the guides that have been coming in. A lot of the dragon energies too aren't as intense because of the intensity that's going on in the external world. So the supportive element of that is very much soothing, calming, loving, energetic, self-love, and also healing, like heart space healing. Very loving, motherly, nurturing, energetic, which is unconditional love. And dragons embody all energies, but this energy is a very loving, nurturing, soft energy, which isn't always what you find with the dragons. So that energy is very present now because we need that. We're being quite assaulted externally. And also not just what's going on in the world, but we are being shaken up in our lives a lot with just external obstacles and things meant to be showing us, okay, we need to move this out of the way, or we need to look at this. But I think for me, it's just taking that breath each day, maintaining practices. Really, like this morning, I got up early and went for like a 2-hour hike, and it was 0 degrees.
Because you're in Canada now, aren't you? The last time we were talking, you were down in Mexico in the lovely warmth. And now it's
Yeah,
the opposite.
it is a transition in that. Yeah, this is the first, it's been years since I've been in this cold weather. So my body's feeling it too. So I'm just trying to honor. And also, I really love soups. I love making soups and stews. So it's kind of that season for me to be getting back into that. So it's just kind of like nourishing. That slowing down, sitting with a mug, kind of, meditation, soft, cozy things. So it's the transition time into the hibernation of winter. So I think it's a lot of time for, internal inspection, internal, well, also disillusion of the things that provided comfort over the last season. And that's something that I'm like, I like these things in the summer. And I'm like, but I find myself transitioning to different comfort elements during the fall times. So allowing that transition, also not clinging to the comforts of before and honoring the self. So I have to tell myself I really love hiking in the cold. I can't say the thing, but I love
matter.
exactly. But I'm like, I love nature. So for me, that's super healing. So just slowing down, music always. I've been singing so much.
Oh,
Coming through, and I've been really working on integrating new energies, new frequencies into my voice. So playing with that and just having that internal part, like the fall time is kind of like, I love the changing fall colors, which I've missed a lot. Seasons I do miss. So I'm just trying to enjoy that. There's a little bunny that sits outside with me every day.
oh, really?
Yeah, it's really sweet. And I'm just like, oh, I just want to hold you. But it's just like enjoying those little moments in nature. And my mom's like, I'm staying with my mom, and she had the last street on the tree that had all the leaves, and I was just sitting there watching each day in the morning, each leaf fall off, and I'm just
wow.
it was such a slow, beautiful process. I don't know how I got that lucky.
Yeah.
Maybe my practices created a space around it. I'm not sure, but it just held on a little longer for me. So that was beautiful, just to like have that transition time, and it's a nice reminder for self to just honor that in self as well. So slowing down, honoring myself.
Did you get any communication from the tree out of a matter of interest?
I feel like, I don't know if it's me this year, but I feel like this year the colors were more vibrant. Like they held their color longer. They had more of like an ombre transition. It just like, it felt like they retained some of their vitality more. And it felt like that to me, at least in the space that I was in. Yeah, like it just kind of felt like they were holding on a little bit longer, sharing in that energy with me a little bit longer, which felt really beautiful, because I'm surrounded by kind of concrete right now, and it was just that one little space that was just like still left standing before all the leaves are gone and we move into winter. So the tree is always speaking. Yeah.
Do you reckon this transition, Pluto in Aquarius, might lift any of that heavy energy that has been happening?
Au contraire, my friend. I actually don't think so at all. Well, it's funny because we talked about this on the last podcast, which I think was back in March, and it actually entered into Aquarius officially yesterday, Pluto that being. The reason why I say no to that is because Pluto is the death planet. Pluto deals with death and transformation and rebirth. So when I say shadow time, I always say this, but we really are entering shadow time. And Aquarius is like all the shadow material is coming up, but we're also in Aquarius, and all the Aquarius elements are accelerated within that element. So Aquarius is all about pioneering new energies and creating a new solid foundation going forward. And we're coming from Capricorn, which is like the structured space in which we have lived in prior, but that is crumbling, that is falling. And now we are in the space of shadow, pulling up all the things that need to be healed to move through to create that foundation. And that's what Pluto does. Pluto is the transformer. He is the shadow worker of all the planets, because he forces you to pretty much die and rebirth. He forces you to move through the shadow, whether you like it or not. It's kind of like, I'm not holding your hand anymore. I'm kind of pushing you off the cliff into your shadow point. And yeah, it's really kind of propelling these shadow elements forward because of the Aquarius energy, which is the pioneering of new ways. And it's going to accelerate the Aquarius elements. In doing so, it's going to really just eradicate all the elements that do not work anymore, that are not serving, that are out of balance for whatever purpose on a whole and also within your life. So we are seeing that already on a large scale in the world, with the weather, with all the systems of the world, with our politics, with on every element of everything externally, but also we can see that in our personal lives as well. We can see the obstacles that are moving through our lives, and reflected in our family and our friends. Everybody is being forced to look at these aspects, and that's all in preparation for what's to come. And we're creating a new paradigm. Like, the old ways are dying. It's the last remnants of the death, which is why Pluto is coming in to pretty much burn away all those elements. Hence why it's the dragon time, and how all those things play together, because it really is looking at those points of self and really honoring those shadow parts that we don't want to look at. Because again, I know I always say this, but it's like, again, the more you're willing to look at yourself and that, and to take ownership and control and self accountability, then the more prepared you'll feel when the things do elevate and escalate, which they will continue to do so. And we're going to keep talking about that going forward. But at this time, Pluto is asking you, what are you still holding on to? What are the things that are keeping you disempowered? What is keeping you in the space that is not allowing you to step forward or allowing you to see that? And it's asking you, well, no, actually it's not. It was asking you prior. Now it's forcing you.
It's throwing you into the thorns.
It's throwing you, and it's saying, all right, there you go. But I mean, we, again, have our tools. We have all of our guides and our practices and our support system around us. That's why it's so crucial to have those people and those spaces that are really important to help us stay balanced in that, because Pluto is a destroyer, truly and honestly. It will force you to be different. It will force you into a different way of thinking, of doing, a different perspective. And a lot we can see right now is restructuring in that, where relationships are falling off. We are reconforming who is around us, our space, our homes, and our jobs, all aspects of life that, you know, provide that stability of self and also that connection to spirit. So it's really important that we look at those parts of self, because we're not really being asked anymore. It's really just more a process of, okay, let's not run anymore. Let's take a look at this. Let's not just take a look. Let's bring that magnifying glass out and let's take a real good look and see what's there. So there's no fear space anymore. So we can really just honor that and feel like, okay, whatever's coming at us, I can handle this because I have my people, and we all have our strengths. And that's why community is so important, because we all have different strengths and different skill sets. And that's why coming together, we are stronger in that unity. We are stronger in that expression of balance, because that's actually what we're here to learn, is that we're not meant to be doing it individually. We are all part of a whole. So if we're playing our role in that part and everybody's coming together in that, that's essentially what we're trying to create in the new world going forward, which is, we will be talking a lot about going forward, because we really are, quite honestly, we have now shifted into the official aspect of that. And we've been talking about this for a long time, and there's physical aspects of that, and there's emotional, spiritual aspects, consciousness shifts, ascension elements to that. So it's really important that we understand what we're dealing with, what we view as truth, and how we move forward in that, in a way that's right for us and that's aligning with the people that are aligned to us.
Yeah. And it's also, well, not curious, I was going to say, and it's not a coincidence either, that this year is the year of the dragon shapeshifters, and next year is the year of the snake, where we have to shed the old skin and just embrace our new, hopefully.
Absolutely. And that's perfect. That's a perfect example, because the dragon energy is all about standing in the power, shining the light on all the aspects, that it's like, okay, I'm pulling it all up. The serpent is exactly that. Shedding the skin, leaving it, and moving forward, smoothly entering into the next space of life and taking ownership of that. The serpent also represents the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and also our creative energy, which is also our sexual energy and our life force energy. So it's also learning how to balance those energies of empowerment in self that the dragon helped us embody. And also it's the Emerald Dragon year. So it is a healing kind of like, it's not just like a 1-2 punch. It's kind of like, okay, I'm coming in with some like softer healing elements that will balance the intensity of what's going on around us, but it will bring in the power of just honoring self and honoring path and walking that divine self in our current path. Even if we don't feel like we're fully aligned where we want to be, it's just knowing and honoring and having compassion for us in that process of where we want to get to.
And like surrendering, because the less we surrender, the more suffering and pain we feel.
Absolutely. What we resist persists. And I don't like cheesy lines, but sometimes it makes perfect sense.
Yes, we have to get them in somewhere at some stage.
I also like where we flow, we go. I also like, people are like, Lonna, come on. But it's so valid. It's just so like, just be in the flow, surrender to it and just go with it. Like, it's simple, right? About just letting go and surrendering. And generally the best advice is quite simple. We just overcomplicate things, right?
Yes, it's true. It really is true. Like the simplest advice is always the most effective.
Absolutely. It's tested time, I think.
And what, for somebody who's out there listening and feels like they're going through an absolute tornado of a time and they don't have anybody to support them, they feel alone, what kind of advice would you have to somebody who can't open up to anyone?
I would say there's always people that you are aligned to. If you don't feel that in your life, I would say that's something that you definitely need to seek out. I think that's being highlighted too. And we also talked about this a little bit on the last podcast about aligning with the right support system, with people that you feel you can show your full self to, because we can't really grow or move through things because we need to be witnessed in that emotion and that expression. And if we don't have anyone around us, then we won't show our full selves to others or to ourselves because we don't have a safe space to even go there. Sometimes we need that reflection from someone else. I would say find your community. There's so many options online. There's groups. Find something that you're passionate about. Find something, if you're struggling with something, find a group of people that are struggling with the same thing. If you're not struggling and you just feel you want connection and community, find everyone has a passion. Find something, go to a paint class or go out and do, anything where you can just meet people and have that connection. Go to a book club. There's tons of spirituality focused things. Go to a yoga, meditation class, a sound bath, anything like that. Or just find a practitioner. There's so many people online. Find somebody that you resonate with, that as a practitioner, I know that the clients that come to me, I'm in resonance with and they're in resonance with me, and there's a symbiotic relation. There's a reason why. There's a higher purpose as to why we connected. So if someone's feeling alone in that space, I would say put that call out to find those like-minded people. Like, action it as well. You need to do a little bit of work on that, but make sure you're putting yourself out there. Put yourself in public places where you can meet people. Go to a coffee meetup. There's tons of things online if you're not comfortable meeting up in person, and that's something that you need to work into. There's also many practitioners. There's also many therapists if you just want somebody to talk to, that are very affordable, that are doing online work now, that are absolutely amazing. I think it's just about finding someone you feel safe with, finding someone that you can feel like you can open yourself to and create that relationship with. So, but we have to be willing to put ourselves out there. And I know this because, again, I have a hermit line, so I'm like, I got to get out there, like, go meet people. Like, even if I'm around, a lot of spaces where I'm not in resonance with the people there vibrationally, or we're not aligned in life, but we can always find common connection, even if it's in simplicity and sitting at a park with somebody, having a conversation, or just watching the birds in silence with somebody. Like, it's sometimes just that heart connection, or being around people. You never know how you're gonna have your day, or how you'll affect somebody else's day just by having some simple conversation. And it's those open opportunities from the heart, I think, that really start shifting that when your heart's open, when you're like, I'm seeking connection, people will come to you. If that's not coming to you, there's something that you're holding in, that you're keeping at bay. You're creating a distance out of fear or safety or whatever happened, and it could be completely valid. If there's nobody coming to you, then that's something that you need to kind of be like, what am I putting off? What is the underlying energy here that's actually pushing people away when you desperately are seeking that connection? And that just furthers the trauma of abandonment and rejection. So that's, again, taking ownership for our healing path, but really finding things of like interest, things that are from your heart where you can create with other people. And that's how community is formed. So it's true. We really need to find more community. It's something I will advocate for every podcast. I think that it's just like, we really need to connect and disconnect from the internet, not fully, but just find that balance and that connection point. And that alone will shift the heart space.
And that's I suppose one of the advantages of the internet, that we can, if people are isolated somewhere in the world, they can connect through Facebook or Instagram and find groups. But then there's a balance, like what you were just saying, and not allowing technology to take over our lives as well, because that can hinder the whole healing process. What's your opinion about the media and what we're watching at the moment?
How long do we have? Turn it off. That's my opinion on it. Turn it off. It's I don't want to be too extreme on this, but I'm like, you're being force-fed just absolute crap. Intentional crap. It goes so much deeper than just the media. It's the way we live. It's what we've been ingrained to think that we need to be giving our time and energy to each day, that keeps us exhausted, which therefore keeps us just watching television and checking out. There's a lot of levels to why we are on media as much as we are. There's a lot of programming and conditioning, hence why TV is called TV programming. It's right in our face. Like, it's right there. It's getting worse and worse, because the ones that are feeding us this information have an agenda. They have an intention and an agenda, and it's not a good one. And they're not feeding us accurate information. It is distorted with intention and bias. So I think that there are accurate media resources out there. I have ones that are very neutral. This is what happened. This is the facts. And that's generally what I listen to or look at, if anything. I generally feel that whatever I need to know will come through me, because I'm not completely off grid. But I don't feed myself with that. I don't watch the wars. I don't watch the news. It's all negative. And it's just feeding that fear space. It's feeding us, it's feeding that fear, and that's the intention. So I highly recommend getting off. Like, just stop. Like, I'm not saying don't watch television or whatever, but I'm like, have a movie you watch once in a while, have a favorite show. Again, the balance. But don't run there for 6 p.m. and be like, if you don't have it recorded for later, and like move your whole life, or it's like, have a show that you like, but don't change your life for it. So when you have a rainy day, or when you're like just having a low day and you need to order a pizza and watch a movie, like, that's when, again, balance. So I really think it's the things that we do in our day-to-day life, the time that we spend every single day, what are we giving energy to in that time? Because if you're just watching television and checking out, or we're doom scrolling on Instagram, comparing ourselves to everything out there, which is completely artificial at this point. Everything is artificial. And then humans, to the point, are actually seeking to be artificial based on everything. We have half robots walking around, like, it's...
Yeah.
Like, we're in some weird times. So get back to organic, get back to natural, get back to nature, get back to as healthy and as connected as possible. Go out and play cards at the park instead, like, go and like play some chess, or like, I don't see kids playing street hockey anymore, or hopscotch, or drawing with chalk. Like, they're on their tablets. It's like, get outside, go and play. Like, you should be squealing around like kids do. Like, so yeah, we just need to go back to the roots. We need to go back to tribal ways. We need to honor the whole. We need to honor our role in the tribe, because that's the thing. We all try to fit into, we're educated, this is what we're supposed to go and do, and then we're fighting and crabbing all over each other, try to get to the top, when really it's like, in tribal ways, everyone has a gift, everyone has something they're bringing, and that is seen early and honored and nurtured through your entire life. So when you step into that role, when you move into adulthood, it's an honoring of moving into adulthood. It's a rite of passage, and you're honored because it's a natural skill and ability that you have, that you're contributing to the whole, but it's also a passion because you're good at it, you love it, and you feel solid in what you're contributing to the whole. We don't have that as a society because we're just comparing each other that are incomparable things. So we need to restructure the way that we view education, the way we view raising our children, the way we view raising the feminine and the masculine, and even what that means and how that plays a part in each of us, in our family structures and individually, and in our relationships, our partnerships, because that definitely pushes into those areas. So I could talk about this all day. I really could.
Mentioning the masculine and the feminine, because I was speaking about this to Jen in one of the last episodes, and she was like happily basking in her feminine energy over the last while, and it's something really difficult to do for most people because we are coming obviously out of the era of Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn, work, masculine energy, climbing the corporate ladder. How do we balance that out, in your opinion?
I think that's always going to be. I think the serpent energy next year will actually really help with that, because everything's just coming up. Because we are moving into a feminine era. It's time, but again, we're still in the healing phase. So I think it's about acknowledging the wounds of the masculine, and how far back they go, because there's so much anger towards the patriarchal energy. Valid, completely valid, and rightfully so. But how deep that goes, and how us as the feminine raised the masculine in that way, because it was a part of it, and how disempowered we were in those ways too. In regards to the sexual energy, that was really one of the only ways women could wield power when it was taken. And women are actually the original shamans from way, like well before even documented history on this earth. And they were the serpent beings. They were the female shamans, and they were the ones who passed the information down to the men and the masculine, and that got distorted over time. So we're finding that reclaiming now. We're bringing that energy back, and we're honoring the knowledge of the feminine, and we're honoring the emotion and the softness of the masculine, which is not what we have honored before. And it's restructuring the narrative of what we think that energetic is. You can see that very much in a lot of the gender identity stuff that's going on. It's just very distorted, and there's a lot of misunderstanding in energy of self. And so that's being restructured too, with balancing and understanding the Kundalini energy, the masculine, feminine, energetic, and how that moves through our body. This year is all about self-empowerment, honoring the self and standing in that. And next year is about balancing and integrating. Because now we're pulling it all up, and it's just this chaos energy, and we're having to look at all the shadows. But it's like when that all settles, it's like, and we're finding that flow of self and the ebb and flow of the masculine and feminine. It's restructuring the narrative of what those energies mean to self. There's an idea of what the masculine feminine is to the whole, but that's also a distorted viewpoint, and it's been distorted for so long. So it's really about finding those energies, restructuring them, and also honoring whatever that looks like inside our own bodies, because it's different for everybody, and we all have masculine, feminine energy. It's just about balancing that. So I would say good ways to do that is Kundalini. And Kundalini yoga is amazing. Just breath work, anything where you're moving, belly dancing is beautiful. Anything where you're moving your midsection and just flowing kind of like a snake. Very fluid movements, kind of connecting with your breath. Your breath is really, really powerful for that too. There's Kundalini breath work as well. And just connecting with the feminine aspects. Well, they're both, but I'm like, we were going to go back to the sexuality element because it's such a powerful energetic, and she feels powerful in this energy right now because she's embodying it, and she's playing with it, and she's having fun with it, and there's so much we can do with that energy. It's life force energy. So how we play with that, how we choose to channel that, and where we channel it, we can create amazing things. Like we really can. It's an infinite energy, really. So I highly recommend connecting to that with anyone who desires that. It will help you connect to your spiritual team as well, your cosmic team, and to yourself, and also like dancing, just feeling sensual, oils, like anything that can get you in touch with what would be traditionally considered feminine. It's not anymore. I know men who do face masks and pedicures, and like it's just like things are shifting, and it's good. It's just self-care.
Yeah.
Why is it for people? It's like it's good. I love that you're taking care of yourself,
Yes,
And
exactly.
then there's females who will never like wash their face in their life. So it's like we're finding the balance in this. And yeah, I think it's just beautiful to take those steps. It's beautiful to see men, taking care of themselves. And it's like, I think it's just shifting that narrative and really connecting with those parts of ourselves. We are generally a masculine focused society, so we are already action oriented. And there's a lot of imbalance in that. So sometimes we have to unlearn how to action. We have to slow down and really breathe into that soft, receptive space that the feminine is. And when we find that balance, we know when to be soft and receptive and emotional and tapped into the internal world. And we know when it's time to action and to warrior and to move into our masculine and to create that space and structure and movement. So that's completely conducive to self. And I know for myself, I'm female, but I have typically a more masculine energetic. So I have to actively work. And it's helped being in partnerships that allow me to surrender into that beautiful feminine space, which I couldn't when I first entered partnerships just based on my childhood. But over time, I learned, okay, it's safe to do that. And we deeply desire that as the feminine because we're used to taking care of everything. It's like sometimes we just want to sit back and be taken care of, especially as caregivers. And that's true of everyone. And everybody deserves that. So knowing what you need to feel balanced in that, what you need to feel beautiful and feminine, what you feel like empowered in the masculine, and finding that balance I think it's key. And it's always going to be a process. We're always in this back and forth. And sometimes we're like, oh, I just want to be snuggly and cuddled. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, the dragon's out. Like I'm fired up. I'm going out. Like my sword is up. I'm an Aries moon. So I'm Lilith, it's like I'm meant to be intense. So I have to really consciously intentionalize being soft because my moon sign is a warrior. So I also have a dragon here. So it's
You're out for the kill.
Yep. So, but I did this to myself. So, I can flow in that, and it's fun actually. If when you look at it, it's like, okay, how can I balance that? Or, oh, that's a little spicy today. Or there's something here. Okay, I got to bring that down and really breathe into, the Cancer element here.
But that's where your beautiful singing comes in, though, because you have so much creativity that comes out there. That's your feminine aspect, blooming.
Thank you. It is. That's actually when I feel, and childlike too. Sometimes I get into this like angelic, soft, like I get very childlike, and it feels beautiful that I can explore different forms in that. You're very right about that. It's a softer element, because even when I speak, I have a bit of a forceful kind of energy. So it's nice to sing and have that balancing element. And that's also serpenty too. I've noticed people, when I get really channeling in that angelic realm, people just trance out. And I didn't know that until I was doing live stuff. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, so this really is a serpent thing. Like there really is that hypnotic kind of trance. Like, and you see it with all these beautiful singers. Like I'm just taken away, and it's a magical world. Like, yeah, I highly encourage everyone to find that magical space, whatever that is to you, because then we can play and have fun and be the masculine, be the feminine, be the child, and explore all those elements of ourselves. Like that's what creativity is for.
Yeah, totally. Like stepping into the role of different people. And what would you give anybody, like what kind of advice would you give somebody who'd like to explore their voice?
I actually just love starting, like just sitting with self, connecting with your throat. Well, open your heart, open your throat space, and don't think, just sound. The beautiful part about our voice is it bypasses our mind. That's why I love working with music, because we get so in our head. Just don't think and just sound. And it can just be one steady note, or it can have a little vibrato, whatever. It doesn't have to sound like anything. Just sound and hold it. Like a drone, just one solid note. And then just do that consistently. And then when you feel like you want to change a note, try that and see where you go. Don't think about it. You can go up, you can go down, you can do a little wobble, whatever you want to do. There's no structure here. That's the beautiful part. Like, my mom's classically trained. I grew up in a house where everything's classical, and I would just be doing Mariah Carey and all this trilling, and she'd be like, oh my God, Lana, like, I was so unstructured, playing jazz, which drove her nuts. And I'm all outside the lines, and she needs the structure. So, and I think most beings and how we are, in our external environment, it's like everything's structured. So when I work with clients, that's what I get them to do, is just start with one note. It doesn't have to sound like anything. And also do it when you're alone. It's better when you feel safe enough with your own voice, and then you can start when there's other people around. You feel very, like, your voice is it's a part of you. It's such an expression of self, and it requires a safety element in self to express. So make sure you're alone and you feel comfortable with how you sound, and then just play with that. And then I would say, if you're trying to work on your voice, do some voice activations. There's tons of stuff on YouTube and Spotify, voice frequency openings. I would say find, if there's something like, oh, you're going through a stressful day, or you're feeling a certain emotion, look for that frequency and try and match that frequency. Just sing that note, because once you start coding your voice, you'll naturally, over time, just subconsciously sing that frequency when you're feeling that emotion, and you'll naturally start balancing yourself.
That's so useful. There's one thing that I heard about a girl that I follow on YouTube. Her name's, like, I can't remember what her name is, but she said, like, our own voice is our biggest healer, because our voice completely unblocks any stagnant energy, releases just anything here from our energy field.
Everything. The human voice is actually the highest frequency instrument there is on the planet. We have the ability to create sounds that, like, we haven't even measured here. It's just, and there's some kind of singers out there which are tapping in, but it's just, there is nothing that is more healing than you singing your own vibration, your own song, because you have the ability to harmonize your own self. And you actually have the ability to encode the cells of your body with your intention and your frequencies. We all have this ability. I know that's hard to believe, but if you think it into will, you eventually will start actually encoding your own frequencies. We have a lot of power. The human voice it's just pure magic. It is such a high vibration. And also we have the ability to pull in extremely high frequencies and high vibrations, and to transmute them into everyday life. So yes, I absolutely agree. For me, it's the most miraculous gift, and it, frequency wise, is the highest instrument there is.
I can't wait to hear your productions that you're working on. Yes. And have you got any advice or any tips that you could tell anybody that's listening?
I would say right now, connect to self-care practices. Really, really, really be soft with self, really. And again, that's what the dragon energetic is, specifically with what I know our friend Jen has been connecting with pink dragons. It's coming a little bit for me, but very much like a heart space healing. Like, we really need to take the time to heal our hearts and open our hearts and to connect and slow down, focus on our relationships that are very important, give energy to healing those things that are hurting our heart. Right now there's a very big heart focus, because I think we've been, again, pulling all this up, and if we can't pull it all up and not know how to sort it. So there's a really calming frequency specifically with the dragon energetic right now, but it's because of the external. We need to find that balance. So salt baths, comfy warm foods, like comforting, like just wine nights with friends, baking, like the things that like bring connection together. And it's also the holiday season coming up too, so like that is a natural part of this season. Enjoy that, connect with people maybe that you wouldn't normally connect to. I also have been finding that there's people kind of coming out of the woodworks that have been not as around, that are I'm finding more of a frequency connection to that maybe wasn't there. And some people that have been long close friends are falling off, and things are just naturally moving into a more aligned space. So Yeah, I would say just focus on self. Obviously, be kind to the people that you love, but really, really focus softness. From a motherly perspective, rose quartz is really beautiful right now. Salt bath, warming things, comfy things, and just spending time with loved ones and really having those heart connections.
I do love, I'm just imagining the smell of rose, just the smell of roses and rose creams and lavender. Lavender is a really kind of self-care smell, isn't it?
Yeah, and rose is perfect if you really want to tap into the feminine. Rose is the highest frequency flower. It is the epitome of the essence of the feminine. The Mary Magdalene codes, the Sophia codes, it's all based on rose essence and the energy that is actually held by the divine feminine. So if you ever want to have a beautiful bath, like a beautiful bath, then rose petals or rose oil, lavender is really good too, or any herbs that feel good, but just things that are self-care, things that are comfy. I don't know why, but when you were speaking, I was smelling gingerbread cookies. When you said,
lovely.
When you said, I was like, yes. There's something about gingerbread that just makes me happy.
Yeah, it's the smell of that spice, that warm, cuddly spice that makes you want to snuggle up in front of a fire.
Exactly. Yeah. Love it.
And maybe it's because it's mulled wine season, that kind of gingery
Oh my God, you just read my mind. I was going to say mulled. I was literally going to say that after that. So funny. Well, we're on the same page, sister.
Is mulled wine a thing in Canada?
Probably not as much as probably not where you're actually at, but
not in Spain, but in Germany. It's
Spain, yeah. Well, I've made it for a few years. My family doesn't make it. When we have it, I make it because I just love the clove. I just I don't know. It's again the warming spices, and also being in Mexico, I haven't been here in 4 years for that. So I'm finding this year, I'm like, oh, I want to put the lights up and I want to do more traditional things, which I mean, my family doesn't actually celebrate like Yeshua's birthday and all that. It's more about the Christmas thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really buy into that commercial element, but I'm just trying to focus on enjoying the time with family and friends and that. Yeah. It feels more important just because of what's going on in the world, and it just like making that time feels more important.
Connection and just the simple little things like self-care and connecting to people and family and friends that you haven't seen for so long, because who knows, this time next year you could be back in Mexico.
Who knows where I will be. Yeah, the world is changing, I'm changing, everything's shifting, so we'll see where that ends up.
Oh, it's been so lovely to talk to you again.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I love our little chats.
Oh, I always leave our cosmic conversations on a high. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. Which leaves me with 3 questions for you to ponder. Had you ever thought about the media and the TV that you consume and the effects it might have on your well-being and life? Are you someone who can allow a healthy balance of masculine and feminine energy? Or is that a struggle? What does that mean for you? Have you been able to see or welcome your shadow self onto the front stage yet? Are you unsure of how to open that door? Please let me know. I'd love to read your thoughts and comments and views. And of course, please also reach out if you need guidance with that. I'll leave Lonna's contact details in the show notes as always. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for your wonderful and willing open ears as always. Without you, I'd be talking to the wall. Sending big love and wishing you exactly what you needed from this episode. Take care.